Howdy, howdy!
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to But It Was Aliens, the comedy podcast where we probe paranormal activity to decide, for the questionable benefit of humanity, whether that activity really was paranormal. My name is Mr. Kev in the Jon, and alongside me with no idea what we'll be covering today is once again not Mr. Granville Moonwalker. Stef and Jon have returned to regale us with tales of debauchery. For those who missed episode 268, all you really need to know is that these boys go wee-wees with their underwear around their ankles.
Together.
Allegedly, truthfully.
Shoulder to shoulder. Blowing in the breeze. Excuse the pun. Today, we begin our tale in Sydney. That's in Australia, Jon.
Thank you.
Specifically, we begin in an unspecified area of the western suburbs in the summer of 2008. A couple we'll name Sheila and Bobby to protect their identities.
Sheila.
Were having a romantic evening in, and it was nearly business time. It wasn't recycling night. Bobby had these business socks on. There was no team building exercise, not tonight. After dinner and gladiators, Sheila turned to Bobby and said, I might go to bed. She had work in the morning. Oh, yeah. Bobby knew what Sheila was trying to say. It was business time.
It's business time.
Is that it? I know what you're saying.
I know what you're trying to say, baby.
Is Gladiators...
Yeah.
Is Gladiators a thing you've added? Or did they genuinely watch Gladiators?
I might have added a little razzle-dazzle.
2 minutes in heaven is better than 1 minute in heaven.
Allegedly. Yeah.
I was late to that. I was just chuckling away. Gladiators in 2008. I'm already saying this is a lie.
No, not in Australia.
Well, is it all,
They would have sold it around the world and done their own version, wouldn't they?
Well,
have you ever heard of reruns?
Well, I have, yeah, that's true. I take it back. Carry on.
You know what I'm trying to say.
You've never looked better.
As Bobby and Sheila made their way upstairs, things were happening in the nether regions we won't get into despite Jon's requests, and we've had to cut that from a podcast, but it was time to enter the bedroom.
Outrageous.
But just as the randy couple went to open the doorbell rang. Bobby went downstairs, and through the peephole, he could see it was their 15-year-old neighbour. He'd probably hit his ball over the fence again and wanted it back, so Bobby opened the door. Bobby noticed that the kid had a bit of a weird grin on his face, but nevertheless, he let the kid in to make his way to the back garden just as he usually did. But then...
This sounds like an episode of How to Catch a Predator. I'm not being funny. This is all going terribly wrong very quickly.
Well, on that note, the kid pulled out a knife from his pocket and plunged it deep into Bobby's chest. Bobby hit the floor. Sheila heard the commotion and came rushing downstairs to take one in the gut too. That was it. As simple as that. The kid dropped the knife and calmly walked out of the house, leaving the door open. Neighbours quickly noticed the open door and raised the alarm, and when police visited, found the disgusting scene and reviewed CCTV footage, there was no doubt the kid was apprehended. The kid had returned home and just sat on the floor cross-legged for a while when he got home before snapping out of it when the police arrived. He confessed immediately and insisted that he had temporarily lost control of his body. He couldn't explain it, but the kid, who was a good kid by the way, swore that a lady had taken over his body and he could only watch on, helpless. The police called bullshit, and that was that. In their investigations of the murder, the police did stumble across one detail which they considered irrelevant that came out at trial, and when I tell you this detail, you'll probably think the same. I could understand why, but there is more to this story. The Australian couple, only about 1 week earlier, had seen a photo. When shown the photo, the kid was adamant that this was who had possessed him. Now let me be clear, this was not just any photo. This was a photo that was alleged to be of a creepy lady. Maybe a monster, a ghost, a spirit, an entity under a bed. A photo of a ghost is just something that we aren't supposed to be able to see, let alone share, but herein lies the kick. There is a rumour attached to this photo. A rumour that suggests that if you gaze upon this photo and do not share it, you will die.
Now, I've only had one previous, guest slot on this podcast, but I did mention that acid is not for everybody, right? I don't mean to make it my whole thing, but this reads like the kids, Stefan, acid in 2008 Australia, is it available?
Since the 60s.
Well, I'd imagine you can get it wherever you are if you look hard enough.
Exactly. So this kid is ignored me. He's not listened to this podcast 17 years in the future, and he's knifed somebody up. Case closed.
My issue. So why was the kid even shown this photo? Was it part of the court?
No, the kid wasn't shown the photo. The couple was shown the photo.
By who? Do we know?
Well, we don't have that information.
So hold on. The couple was shown.
The couple was shown it, and then this happened, and then the rumour came out about this photo, I guess, from the social group of the couple, and then the kid was shown the photo of the person and was like, "That's who did it. That's who controlled me."
Why was the kid seeing this photo? So, as in because it came out
at trial, the prosecution were trying to get him off.
The defence. Yeah. So their defence was basically
the solicitors. Damn
he'd
it!
Seen this photo, and the creepy woman in the photo was who he claimed. Okay, right.
Yes.
So there's an element of here. Yeah. I mean, this is the movie The Ring. Originally, the Japanese title Ringu. Just putting it out there. With the possessed video that if you don't pass it on, then Sadako, as it
Isn't
was,
it?
comes
Do
to
you? It's been years since I've seen that. Was it that if you don't pass it on, you die, or was it that you die in 7 days after seeing it?
No,
regardless?
if you pass it on within 7 days, you don't die, and then it passes on. So
do you know? I'm leaning into clearly how I'm being portrayed here, but there is a pornographic version of that.
Of course, there is.
Only you would know that.
But you know how normally porn films
well
have like a funny pun title. Is The Ring just called The Ring?
If not, they've missed the trick there. Open goal or what?
Okay.
I mean, as you were reading it out, I was kind of thinking more like, waiting for Dexter to show up or Hannibal or someone like that more than the supernatural. It feels like a psychiatric thing or...
Yeah, sounds like a classic or insanity plea.
Yeah,
that's where my mind went. It's kind of, they're trying to get him off with similar to insanity, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm never quite sure of like, possession or haunting. I mean, if I wanted to kill Stefan, I'd say that the Joker told me to do it or something like that to get away with it. I know, although back in my wheelhouse again, insanity plea is very difficult, very, very difficult to prove to get away with. Exceptionally so. It's not as easy as just saying, somebody made me do it.
Because it's so hard to prove
you have
one way or the other.
Well, more often than not, you have you hide it. You're doing wrong by trying to conceal it.
Yeah.
You have capacity to make certain choices there.
Precisely that. That's the key word, isn't it?
Stefan's eyes. Viewers can't see, but Stefan seems to have stopped.
Well, I'm just thinking about that. So basically, if someone kills someone and they do anything in order to try and cover it up, that's seen as, well, you're not insane.
It can be.
It can be, yeah. No, you can't blanket everything. But if you know that you've made a choice, and if you would only cover it up,
it's the whole thing.
Yeah, it undermines it. Exactly. Very difficult to prove. So this is very serious.
Retitling this podcast, "How to Get Away with Murder."
Clearly so. Yeah, I've gone from talking about the ring porn,
perfect crime,
to the perfect crime. Yeah. I'm not so down with the possession hauntings just yet. Just go on.
Bear in mind that I'm breezing over these things for time constraints.
Burying the lead. I
usually link the sources in the episode notes for this thoroughly detailed case.
Exceptionally detailed. Are there any other kind of suggestions of tech has allowed us to kind of see sort of micro worlds that we couldn't previously see just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's there.
My notes.
I'm trying to be a good guest.
Well, there are some cultures that won't let you take their photo because they think it's somehow like taking your soul and things like that.
Taking your soul.
That idea of somehow a part of us is taken with any kind of depiction, be it painting or photo or video or whatever it might be.
What's that fella who? It's not exactly the same, but on the point you're making, his picture. If he lives forever unless he looks at his own painting. It's like an old story.
We're on about picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, taking that's taking a part of him. And
I wanted to say Benjamin Button for some reason, but it was Dorian Gray. I was thinking.
Well, I was thinking the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and like he's in that. Yeah.
Well, he does a deal with the devil so that he can remain young eternally, and his picture ages. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And if he looks at it, game over.
So then ultimately the question is, who's the woman in the picture? And what beef has she got?
Wow, that's
what beef has she got with the couple?
Yeah, were the couple just part of a chain, or were they someone that she was targeting?
Targeted assassination. Oh, let's learn more.
Let's move on and find out, shall we? So let me take you to Whittlesea Road, Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, England, 2010, May. 28-year-old Joan Halliday had been out for a spot of light lunch with her friends, whereby things got a bit rowdy, and a beer or two later, Joan was watching Magic Mike for the 11th time. Before the show, though, at that lunch, one of the girls had shown a certain photo around the group. All of the girls then sent that photo on to their other friends to creep them out. All of the girls, except Joan.
I like this, Joan.
I have it on good authority that she's a bit skanky, but let's ignore that.
That's right. I'm not disagreeing.
Joan was a little too excited for the show to focus on anything else. 4 hours after seeing the photo, Joan was walking back to her house right on the edge of the city centre. Joan was only slightly tipsy, as was too often the case being truthful, but Joan was walking well within the pavement rather than the road. Joan would be safe from oncoming traffic. Or would she? Boom! With a crash, Joan was done for. This was the edge of town, so there were several witnesses, and all reported seeing a vacant-looking female with dark hair driving the car with an almost deathly gaze as it bumped up the curb almost intentionally and crashed into Joan. The car was recovered and had been stolen from a household, but there was no reliable footage showing the driver. No fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. The driver was never found.
I for one support Joan and everything that she does, and I think she sounds great. I'm also aware that I was 28 in 2010. No, I wasn't. I was 30. There's no relation. We're all good.
Why would there be a relation?
You were not 30 in 2010.
How old was I then?
Maths is rubbish. You're 25.
Well, there you go. I'm even more correct. Even more correct that we're not related. God, my maths is
I don't know why
wrong.
you'd think you were related.
Well, not to give away too much about my identity, but this person has a very similar name to me, and also, likes Magic Mike.
Yeah. Just coincidence. It's just what came up in the research.
So little behind the scenes look. When you messaged us, Kevin said, "I've got the perfect case for you." I'm guessing this was the detail that you were thinking about.
Is this real? Is this a real thing? Like, is this real information, or are you...
A real woman called Joan Halliday was hit by a car. Allegedly, truthfully?
Allegedly. Fair enough. Not to question your journalistic integrity.
She may have been called Joan.
Right, so we've got the same situation as in Australia.
Yes, mate.
Someone or some people have been shown something, and because they haven't necessarily forwarded it on, somehow, like the universe, Final Destination style...
Absolutely.
Or tormenting spirit is seeking revenge with some kind of curse if you don't forward it on.
Same photo.
What annoys me about this is now we're moved on to the digital age. So lots of people then, 2010, would be sending it via, WhatsApp,
dick pics,
social media and all that kind of thing. And you do wonder if a lot of those kind of like, what do they call them? Daisy chain curse type things. Letter chains. letter chains. What were they called?
Yeah,
chain letters. Chain letters. There you go. They were dreamed up by. Well, chain letters originally was probably dreamed up by the post office, so people bought more stamps, and now social media.
That's never.
Social media algorithms are like making up these curses so they can basically try and generate more traffic and this, that, and the other, and it just
hit those
maybe
ads.
Purely coincidentally. I mean, she's watching Magic Mike. Was this live? Or just at the Rowdy
show,
and a beer or two. Yes,
yeah,
I mean,
so the show was a couple
drunk
of
person
hours.
walking home getting hit by a car. I mean, sadly, it's probably not as uncommon as we would like to think it is.
Too focused on Dick.
Indeed.
Whereas the
story of Joan's life. Yeah. Rest in peace, Joan.
Whereas the teenager,
you do you,
and is in Australia is probably somewhat more unusual. I'm more convinced by that than this, maybe.
Just remember the car absolutely hossed it up the curb onto the pavement. Pretty targeted, it seems, but as you say, could be coincidence. Laredo, Texas, 2017, August. A group of nighttime revellers were outside a bar several drinks into a heavy night. The group were chatting to all the passers-by and other revellers. You know how it is, and before you know it, memes were being shared. You can see where this one is going. One photo in particular caused quite the stir. I have that very photo for you, Jon and Stef.
Hold on. Given the nature of the case, if we now look at this, do we have to forward this on? Otherwise, we won't be on next week's episode.
You better fucking not.
We could blow this shit right open if we don't. We should do it. We should do an experiment. I'll forward it on, and Jon, you don't forward it on to anyone, and we'll see who turns up next week.
And by sharing it, I've already forwarded it on to you.
So you're all right.
Now then, I'm trying to figure out what era Jon that is by the phone that I've got in my hand, because I am. Let's have a look. Zoom in. I mean,
I didn't say I'd show you the photo now, gentlemen. Patience.
Yeah.
Oh, whose dressing gown is that? That's not one of my households.
It looks like my wife's.
It might well be yours, you know.
Just for clarity, I've just shown them a picture of Jon on the toilet.
Taking a picture of myself next to Stefan's wife's dressing gown.
Is it? Is that my old
you think I'm having it? You think I'm having a sit down wee? You just said it. I don't know where that is.
I think that is. Did you get this off one of our social media profiles?
No, he sent it to me years ago and I saved it.
Okay, so that is probably
If you send me anything, be it 10, 20 years ago, I am saving that in a little pile just for if I ever need it. Who'd have known?
Whose house is that? I can't recognise it.
Yeah, that's going to really bother me.
I think
I'm not bothered now about this case.
My wife's got a red dress.
The biggest mystery.
And there's a calendar.
I've got no
on there.
Got no greys or white hair, look. So that's a youthful version of Jon.
Are we looking at?
And the taps. Oh, don't know.
And who has a calendar in the toilet?
Someone who's tracking their poop schedule?
Yes, it's poop schedule.
Right, shall we continue?
Let's continue. Yeah.
That's next week's episode.
As the photo was being shown, it had been sent to one of the group who forwarded it on to all the others so they could all zoom in and determine for themselves whether it really did show a ghost and whether you could see their genitals.
What?
This meant that none of the other friends shared the photo. The night continued for an hour or so. Just like before, suddenly a car flew up on the sidewalk and smashed directly into the group, mowing them all down like bowling pins. This scene was awful. Gore everywhere. As it happened, one of the friends just so happened to be inside going to the toilet. Can you guess which one? It was the friend that had sent the photo to the rest of the group. You just can't argue with this story at this point. Indisputable. Whoa.
Any story, like any kind of story that someone insists is indisputable, automatically.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Protest too much.
Yeah.
What's indisputable is that there are 3 incidents where someone is part of a chain sending on images or not, and coincidentally or not, that person is then surviving or not. Okay.
Could be coincidence, could be.
I've sent some strange photos to people.
Yes. Yes. I've learned now.
Predominantly probably to me and Steph.
Yeah.
I don't
And everyone. I think you send them to everyone.
Oh, there's some, there's parts of me out there in the cyberspace that will never come back. I mean,
I'm thinking more just...
You've probably somewhere, if you're listening internationally, you've probably seen me somewhere. Parts of me.
Parts of him.
I learned the hard way about opening certain videos, prank videos, because they would have certain noises on in public. So I just do not open anything from Jon now unless I'm listening in headphones. Just doesn't happen.
I sent you something the other week. Legitimately, I was having to stress to him, "This is fine. It's BBC News," and he was going, "Yeah,
been here before, Jon."
To be fair,
boy who cried wolf.
You've tried to get me with that sound effect video.
I've got you all at least once.
Yeah.
I've never opened that damn thing. Never.
No.
Never have I been gotten by that. Yet.
Yeah. Just straight through
Any video that comes into our group chats, I just leave. I do not watch them. If you want to get my attention, don't send me a video.
Fair dues. That's probably wise.
Yeah.
Wait, so, this Laredo, Texas, we've somehow...
There was less information about this one.
So this photo, there's a photo been sent to him, and they're all trying to zoom in and see if, can you see the ghost you see on social media? Like that kind of thing. Like in the background, there's a curtain, and people are going, ooh.
Like the one in, is it 3 Men and a Baby? Where it pans across the apartment and there's supposed to be a
But I think it's actually a cutout of Ted Danson or something like that.
Really?
I think that's what it actually is. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I mean, ghosts. They're not a thing. There's I can never pronounce the word, like hypnagogic or something like that. It's hallucinations we have as we're falling asleep, where you think you see something in the room. Ghosts, I don't know. It's trying to explain, the unexplainable, trying to give. Take an element of control back from weird phenomena. Peter Venkman.
Well, the heartbreaking ones are when obviously someone has lost someone and they want to somehow see their presence or their figure in something.
Keep it light.
As a way to kind of keep it.
No, yeah.
Start to talk about Peter Venkman and you go, what about grief?
Sorry.
No, it's all right, it's a safe space.
To hear.
And then
for the world to hear. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
And then there's local myths and legends as well. I mean, me and you, Jon, we're from a certain town in the Midlands, sort of East Midlands. And do you remember the story of the Grey Lady? She would appear in the giant church in the centre of the town on certain days and in certain conditions. Some woman who had died centuries before would appear on certain days.
Vaguely can remember that, yeah. But again, I took a lot of acid in the 90s. 2000s, I want to be now. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm ruining your story. Go on,
When I was 5 years old.
I do remember that story. It's just legends and myths, isn't it? And I'm sure they're all rooted in some sort of folk tale that's, Dave down the road didn't like garlic. Oh, he's a bit of a vampire, that kind of thing.
We're going to get into some of this in a little bit, actually. You're kind of on the same lines that I was on around some of what you've said there. The photo we are discussing in this episode is said to have been taken in a hospital around 2003. The patient in the photo was in an accident and was said to have been responsible for the death of a young woman in that accident. The young woman has formed under the bed in this photo. It is said that if you see this photo and do not share it, the woman under the bed will hunt you down and kill you. Are you ready to gaze upon this photo, gentlemen? We will share this on our Instagram at But It Was Aliens. You better be ready because it is time to see
if this is that picture from Hannibal, mate, I'm going to come to your house and I'll do you in. That girl under the bed.
You'd rather see a photo that may or may not result in your death than the photo from Hannibal.
If anybody's listening to this and hasn't seen Hannibal, there is a bit where there's a woman just under a bed. Doesn't sound that bad. I double dare you to watch it. It is horrific, absolutely terrible. These two are laughing at me, but you know they're just being disingenuous.
Well,
Right,
I hate this.
Let's move on.
I try and pride myself on being really rational and thoughtful and scientific and blah blah blah. And then there's something in my inner sort of, I don't know, chimp or gut or something that just goes, oh, but what if I don't
do it, Stefan?
What if I don't share it? Oh, what if?
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly that, yeah.
All right. I'm
just
looking. Oh, you
something
mate.
Come on.
That is not good.
That's a scene from a film.
Photo. As if you thought I was going to do the Hannibal photo.
It's not far off the Hannibal photo, though, is it?
That is
Oh.
true. Should we just zoom in on it to get a good look at the spirit and help us decide if
All right,
it's real?
thanks.
Pussy, I'm in. Come
Is
on,
it
then,
real?
let me have a look at your
I
eyes.
mean, no, it just looks...
It could be out of Hannibal. It's the same type of aesthetic as when they're in the hospitals. Right, I'm going to look her in the face.
I'm going to look her in the face.
You ain't got shit on me, love.
John is squaring up to the photo of the dead
The thing that gets me
Well, I'm
is
just trying to make Stefan look bad.
that is... The lighting, to me, looks far too, cinematic.
It is, yeah. In the back left, the light coming from the outside room or the window or door, whatever it is, that looked a bit unusual to me, being truthful. But this is the photo that's been connected. They'd all had it.
I've seen a porn like this.
Of course you have.
But what I don't get is...
course
So,
you have.
hang on. The group before said they were all zooming in on it. Is that right?
Yes.
Photo... So they was trying to zoom on it to
Like
see
I
if
say,
they could
I've
see the
provided a zoomed-in version below if you want to look at the zoomed-in one
Zoomed
in
in.
the
one.
notes.
ghost. Wait, that's two different photos. What are we talking about?
Oh, you dickhead. You absolute dickhead. That's the thing for Hannibal, isn't it? You know, No, in still, honestly, does that?
Yeah,
no.
that is proper.
That's, and they just flash the flashlight at her on the show, don't they? The flashlight comes over and she's just going, all right. Fucking no. Oh.
That first one is ridiculous. The second one is Hannibal, but it's also terrifying.
But
It's terrifying.
it
It
looks
looks
real.
That is horrible. Mate, that's terrible. I'm scared of not many things, but that really does upset me.
What else are you scared of? Other than
Don't
owls?
look, you're not outing me on the radio.
Well, I am.
I don't like owls, everybody. Owls are the devil's nutsack.
Beautiful, wise,
No.
majestic owls with their
Can you
360
imagine?
spinning heads,
Highly intelligent.
their big eyes.
Have you
Train
seen?
them to
Hold on, mother.
do all sorts.
I'm getting angry now. Right, hold on. Giant. I'm googling as we speak.
What are you Googling?
Because I can't remember the name of it. And this is what I'm doing for this podcast. I'm going to look at one of my fears to name it. I've typed in giant cow, not giant owl. That's the wrong thing.
So arguably that would be more terrifying if a giant cow came at you.
But that's actually a giant cow would be very, 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 very.
What would
very
be what?
frightening.
Cows
What would
are
be
big.
scarier? A cow-sized owl or an owl-sized cow?
An owl, a cow-sized owl, or an owl-sized cow.
That would be a giant owl.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have to go for the first one. Look, my brother thinks it's endlessly amusing to send me the rare articles that he finds where, owl carries off small child. I'm like, I knew it. I told you. You're preaching to the converted. I can't remember what it's called. There's a giant owl that's like, it looks...
The eagle one.
Yes, you know what I
Eagle-horned
mean.
owl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sent it to you before.
I know you have. There's just something about, they're not cute the way they kind of swivel their heads and like zero in on their prey. They are terrifying creatures, and if one
They
ever
are
comes for
built
you,
to kill.
exactly, they are built to kill. They're excellent hunters. They have excellent eyesight at night. Oh, there you go. It'd be like I don't know, I Am Legend or something like that in the film where they only come out at night. You have to stay indoors. If the owls ever took it, I don't know what this is. Get the owl off the fucking script.
Do you know what the most?
I didn't put the owl on the screen.
I did, didn't I? Yeah.
You put the owl on the screen.
Now that you've brought up I Am Legend, can we talk about the most ridiculous thing in the film?
All of it.
No.
The Bob Marley.
The woman
bit.
who's not heard of Bob Marley.
Yeah.
That was the bit I went, no, I don't buy this.
The book is one of my favourite books. It is excellent. It really is good. They're not like these mindless zombie kind of vampire things that just run him at night. You have like some messed up ones, but you have the intelligent ones, and like the girl ones go up to his door and like try to tempt him with the vampire titties, and you know I'm really pegging myself in a certain way here. Name of my sex tape.
And that's
anyone
why
says
you like
it. Yeah. But
What about you, Steph? Have you got any fears?
Fears? I mean, no, only the usual ones. I mean, I really hate flying. Irrational.
He had to hold my hand once on a flight to Germany.
And you kept talking to me about the fact, because I was holding onto the bloody armrest, and then you psychologically profiled me saying, now the reason you're doing that is because you are trying to exert some kind of control. And I'm just saying, you're making it worse. Just shut up.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, that is quite correct. He's trying to control the uncontrollable. That's often why people
I do say, like, if I could fly the plane, wicked. Here we go. Yeah. But then it would crash.
Trying to control John's interest in porn.
Imagine his accent coming over the speaker. Like,
we're going to be flying at
ladies
about
and
10,000 feet.
yeah.
Should probably talk about the photo, shouldn't we?
Nope. I'm all right. I've skipped on.
Why have you put a photo of... Do you know that photo you've got of me laughing like a pirate? You and I were drunk playing Sea of Thieves online. We bought a bottle of rum each and played it online together.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, that was about March. 10 years ago. It was in March. And probably
that long ago. My gosh.
I think it would have been about 10 years ago around. Oh no, probably been close to 2018.
I reckon 8.
Yeah, 2018. I think it was 17, something like that. Anyway, moving on.
So what I started wondering at this point in my research is whether there are other sightings of this ghost under the bed. Maybe the photo is tapping into a genuine shared experience. I whipped my Google machine out and I found hundreds, well, tens. I don't have that much time, folks, but there are tens of Reddit posts from people claiming to have seen a ghost under their own bed. I read one really disturbing account from a girl who had an actual person under their bed, and luckily she noticed after dropping her phone and seeing the dude laying curled up facing the other way, pretended to call her boyfriend and said she was just going to shower, went in the bathroom, ran the shower, climbed out the window, called the police, and they found the bloke still in there with a knife waiting outside the bathroom. But outside of horrid shit, there are a lot of people who believe that they have seen a ghost under their bed. Maybe this photo has been slightly misinterpreted and it's not a chain letter, but was intended to detail a type of demonic force who does just that, appears under the bed. I assume most of us are familiar with sleep paralysis. Now, this will probably be a future episode, but just as a little taster, those inflicted with this condition often report seeing a figure or entity at the foot of their bed. Where does the figure come from? What if he's been hiding under the bed, waiting? Sleep demons, or incubi, were called mare in Olden English, and this is actually where the term nightmare came from. Some report seeing a stereotypically witch-like figure in the sleep paralysis state, who is often referred to as the night hag. Canadian folklore details a lady, hag, who is able to leave her body at night and sits on the chest of her victims, giving the victim difficulty breathing and filling them with terror.
I've seen that one as well.
Many people have experienced these experiences. Can so many be wrong? Studies have suggested that about 40% of people experience these experiences. Scientists, and I'll link this in the episode notes, scientists have actually theorised links between sleep paralysis demons and sudden unexpected death syndrome at night in healthy adults. What if there is some kind of creature or entity able to slip into our reality and our minds just aren't able to handle it if we catch a glimpse? Scientists like you and I, sir.
Damn right.
Well, I'm going to go highbrow. You gave us the origin of mare in terms of its etymology. Well, Queen Mab is a folk tale that appears in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Mercutio talks about Queen Mab infecting your dreams, and it makes soldiers dream of killing, and it makes lawyers dream of making deals and things like that. So the idea is that she's sort of providing that. So whether this is something people have come up with a long time, I think, because I haven't consciously sort of experienced sleep paralysis or anything like that, but we've never really explained dreams and that blurring. I've had dreams that have felt like memories.
There are lots of
theories, yeah, lots of hypotheses, but maybe it's just a way of people trying to explain what is part of our subconscious and that we just don't know.
Jon will probably know this better than me, but isn't the leading theory that it's your mind piecing together your experiences during the day mixed in with different memories and thoughts and whatnot you've had in your subconscious?
Kind of, I wouldn't want to be like, I wouldn't want anyone to quote me, but I think it is. Your mind is kind of making sense of the day. You give meaning to everything that you do. Everything has. We're a meaning-making creature, Kevin, as we all are, and we give meaning to everything, and we process that. And there's parts of the sleep cycle that are psychologically and physically refreshing, and I think in EMDR therapy we manipulate that. I think using bilateral stimulation, which isn't as fun as it sounds.
Yeah, as I say, there are other theories, but I think that's kind of the leading one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Sleep paralysis is a thing. I've had clients say that to me, so I just can't move. I'm aware of it. I don't know. I mean, what's the function of that? If
40% of people is pretty high, isn't it?
It's very high, and I think maybe if it's connected to like a scary dream, a terrifying dream, you're shut down if you're awake at the same time. Is it a freeze response? I don't know. It's something to research, isn't it? Something to consider. Yeah, ghosts.
For a future episode.
Yeah, ghosts here. I mean, this night hag sitting on your chest. I mean, the jokes write themselves, really. But what's her motivation? What's her? We've got her MO. Why does she want to sit on people's chests?
To mess with you.
Feeds on their fear, perhaps. Or maybe she sucks part of their soul out. Feeds on their life essence.
Feeds on their life essence. Sucks on their souls.
Me and Granville once had a debate on a vampire episode, I believe it was on our Patreon, about whether the real life essence would be blood or jizz.
Now that's now I'm interested. Right. That's really interesting because one sustains life, but one helps create life.
Yeah, exactly that.
Oh, so this night hag, what does she look like? I suppose she's going to be a big girl if she's sitting on your chest and taking
your breath away.
Taking your breath away. Have you ever seen Orgasmo? There's the big woman, she's like, "Dush me now," and she's like,
her name is T.
Yeah. Flip of a coin, really. I suppose jizz is your life essence because it benefits me most in that situation. Help yourself, Doc.
Moving on. We've basically covered all the events and paranormal explanations today, so can we science and stupidity this case away? The obvious answer is that yes, we can, because to most of us, this case is simply a case of a popular chain letter in internet form, as Stef touched upon. Share this or that will happen. Do this or you'll have bad luck. These activities have been around since centuries before the internet, and a lot of people do respond to them. Even those that don't actually believe don't want to risk it at times, again, as Steph said. it is pretty difficult to find the original newspaper or television reports pertaining to any of the deaths attached to this photo. The accounts I've given you pop up in many tellings of this tale, but there is quite literally zero corroborating evidence. The photo, meanwhile, appears to have been taken from 2003 Thai horror film The Unborn, which is also known as The Mother. It is pretty hard to argue that this is a legitimate case on that basis. But why do so many people see something under the bed? That is slightly harder to science away. Sure, I could explain how people may be caught in the time between being awake and asleep and their senses are on but their bodily movements haven't yet come online, but we'll probe that more deeply another time, and it doesn't explain why so many people see the same demon or hag.
It's because your mum gets about.
That is the probe.
Okay.
Bless her.
But the people see the same hag or the demon because it's like a collective thing in terms of like a...
And this is what you were kind of saying earlier. Somewhere in the chimp brain, is there a shared...
Like a tormentor.
Well, just because, we've all got those sort of like built-in survival instincts, and it's like we have to be scared of things that are going to try and kill us and all
spiders,
that kind of
snakes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That is an evolutionary hangover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when
So
we came down from the trees.
I wonder if this is part of it
So
as well.
is there an evolutionary hangover whereby seeing someone at the foot of where you're sleeping, you need to sort shit out? And so, that's what people are seeing.
All jokes aside, if you think, one of the things, I went to a lecture once where the guy said, believe it or not, we don't actually totally understand sleep. And I think what he was getting at is in why we do it. We know if we don't do it, we'll go mad. But you are completely and utterly vulnerable when you're asleep. So evolutionary wise, if you suddenly woke up and there was an intruder in your room, you best believe I'm about to fuck shit up.
Is there also an element, you wake up that suddenly with a threat suddenly in front of you, like you're not going to process it properly either? So if that threat then suddenly is spooked and goes away as well, surely your brain's then got to fill in a whole gap going, what was that? Hang on a minute.
When you're stressed or something traumatic happens, the stress hormone you release affects your ability to process, code it as a memory, affects the speech and language center of the brain as well. So when you just sit up and go maybe there's something in there. Yeah, maybe we're figuring this out. Maybe.
Who'd have thought it?
I think hag. Why is it a hag? Just for we're kind of programmed to look for symmetry, aren't we? We're trying to program to look for. That's why we kind of notice when things are not symmetrical. Hags are normally kind of distorted and strange-looking faces, aren't they?
Well, they're normally women.
We're programmed to recognise patterns.
Yeah, isn't that a good point?
Threat mechanism.
Women are normally kind of presented as hags, yet men are like, vampires with like suave kind of. Probably a slightly sexist thing we're getting into.
Yeah, they're sinister, evil because they lack.
We're getting into a whole.
We're going into Freud.
No, fuck Freud. That's a dead religion.
Now, John, why did you say fuck Freud? I feel that might be revealing some of your id.
I walked straight into that
Boo!
one. Well played, Stefan. No, we will not entertain. Those such thoughts.
What was that about your mother?
Oh, mate, I don't use my powers for evil often. But you're fixing for an Electra discussion or an Oedipus discussion. I can't remember which way round it is, and that's really hampered my argument. But I don't know. I the whole chain letter thing. I do think I've had them before.
Oh, yeah.
I seem to remember at school, and I think, much to my regret, I think I forwarded them on. That. There's such a thing called optimistic bias, where people make decisions based on the idea that, well, it won't happen to me.
We had a whole unit on that.
I did my dissertation on it.
Yeah.
And it won't happen to me. She won't get pregnant. It won't kill me. I won't get caught. But you can't be below that average. So you're gambling.
You won't die for not sharing the photo I just showed you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, you. I want to start a chain letter. Let's do this as a social experiment.
That photo in a letter and send it to 10 people.
Now, yeah, I'm up for a bit of this.
What's the law on those things? Like,
what's the law?
Is there a law against them?
You mean the legal?
What are you doing? Sending a letter? That's not against the law.
I feel like there might be some kind of like
people send dick pics
unless you're trying to
time.
extort them for money, like which they don't do. Obviously, it's just pass this on, or could it be a threat?
When we were at uni, Steph, me and Kev were sat in the uni bar, and we tried to do an airdrop of that really muscly kid. You know, the kid who was like,
try.
We did it. You know, just kind of
times.
looked up like that. This is 20 years ago, but like looking
Little
up,
Hercules.
and like people's heads were going, "What the fuck?" Looking down at the phone like that mini Hercules kid.
Someone sent me a picture of a 6-year-old really muscular kid.
I wonder.
What idiot would do that?
Imagine if they like sent that on. And it travelled around like, you know, Middle Eastern
I like
England.
the idea that someone somewhere is doing a podcast recounting that story of when they were in the student union and suddenly they got a picture.
Yeah, of mini Hercules.
And then 2 guys sat in the corner trying
not to laugh. Yeah.
Memories.
No, let's go.
In summary, we've covered ghosts under the bed, and these mother truckers don't just go bump in the night, they go crash if you don't share their image. We covered a couple murdered by their neighbour, a lady mowed down on the pavement, and a group of men victim to a car accident on a sidewalk outside a bar all over the world. And the one common denominator was that they had all received the photo of the ghost under the bed and hadn't shared the image. We looked at the image which Steph and Jon didn't share, and then we wondered whether this case has been slightly misinterpreted and is actually related to sightings of a sleep paralysis demon or night hag, which many people have seen across many different cultures throughout history. Not that I'm giving away the conclusion, but we theorised on whether the photo of the ghost under the bed is just modern chainmail, but we wondered whether this taps into a more innate human experience where people do see something under the bed. Perhaps there is something visiting us. Do you have any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we conclude?
Well, I do actually. As you were speaking, I kind of realised that not everybody's going to know. Not everybody's going to know that's from Hannibal. Not everybody's going to know that that's from the mother or whatever you called it. Some people will get that. And I mean, I knew somebody once that said to me she couldn't comprehend the idea that a psychic might be a charlatan. And this is only in the last 10 years. Really, we're like, what do you mean? I was like, you know, they're cold reading. They're very good at what they do. I mean, this person based their choices on men about the cliched, tall, dark, handsome stranger. You know, like putting off relationships. So even now, people still believe, you know, like that kind of stuff. So who's to say that if we didn't do a letter with the girl from Hannibal under the bed, that people might go, oh shit, because it's quite a scary image, I better send it. I think we should recreate it with you, Kev. Your face like, under the bed.
Me under the bed.
And send that one out.
No one's sharing
I'd
that.
say, I fucking would. I bet that's going straight on. That's not coming to my house.
When you're in bed tonight, I'm going to slide out from under your bed.
Oh, no, not again. Not again. I mean, the first couple were what? They were in Australia. They murdered by the kid.
My thing about that case is, so obviously in investigating the case, the police have uncovered the fact that this couple saw a photo. They may have believed it was part of this chain that was going around. And then I want to know what order things happened in, because if they'd said to the kid, okay, tell us about this creepy woman, you know, describe her, let's do the whole police sketch thing of describing it, then they bring up the photo, and if they look the same, you go, oh, okay, maybe that is a surprising coincidence. Whereas, I don't know, I got the impression that what they did was go, have you seen this photo before? And he's like, oh yeah, that's the woman. Oh, yeah, that's her. That's definitely the one that was possessing me when I killed my neighbour in cold blood.
Yeah.
So if he saw the photo first, he's just gone, oh yeah, that's it. I'm using that.
You know, that
So-
they could be motivated by many reasons as well. Could be like, you know, he's not a fan of the music they were playing. and just decided that he would go knife them up. And then he showed him a photo. Yeah, that's the one that told me to do it. Can I go now, please?
So I don't think they ever existed. And on that note, are you saying that it was
Hold on. Who? You don't think whoever existed?
Any of them?
What, the people?
You think this is all?
Yeah.
All of this?
You think this is all because of these?
All made up, attached to this photo from the
With
film.
you. So,
Oh, I see. So this is all an exercise in futility.
welcome to the podcast world.
I mean, I'm not saying that I've just wasted nearly an hour.
It's
of your
really
time.
sunny outside. What are you doing to me? You just got me on the podcast talking about watching ring porn and stuff like that. And it's for no reason. Is this a sting? Is a guy going to walk through the door now and go, have a seat? Just have a seat. Oh, no.
Are you talking about the idea that these chain things go okay, so two things. One, chain stories happen. If you look at this and these curses and these weird myths and things like that, then as almost to try and confirm it, it's confirmation bias. It must be true because this happened. And whether this incident, the killing of the neighbours, or whether the person hit by the car even happened, the rumours start bubbling and everyone kind of then just believes it. This kind of collective delusion kind of happens, possibly.
Yeah.
Or, I had a second one. Or it is because of the picture from the film, it's a kind of low cost kind of advertising to try and sort of bump it up. Because you remember the Blair Witch Project? They built their own website and they tried to make out like the video was really true, and everyone kind of it was brilliant marketing for an actually not very good film. And so
Never seen it. Never bothered with it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that face that put me off it. People just go, meh.
It's a great exercise.
Watch it by yourself at night now and let us know how you find it.
No.
Or we'll send you that video of the girl under the bed.
Right, why have you got a picture of me on these notes with a sombrero and sunglasses
There is
on?
a lot of John in these notes.
There's a lot. Why did I send you
Fun,
that?
isn't it?
John, this is, given we are some of your oldest friends, this is the tip of the iceberg. And maybe seeing it on paper.
I didn't think it was that bad. Is this an intervention?
What was that about Freud?
I nearly said fuck Freud again. You ain't getting me twice. Imagine if that picture of me appeared if that's what you saw under your bed. You wouldn't be so frightened, would you?
Olé.
Ole.
Frightened,
Come está.
but not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised. Yeah,
It's not
what do I
spooky.
think? It's not spooky. I'm actually enamoured with Stefan's idea of advertising. I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, I like the idea. I didn't see any evidence of it, but I didn't look for it.
You didn't see any evidence of any of this.
Well, yeah, that too.
You
But I
just
did
said
look.
that.
No, I did look though. I looked for cases where people had been mowed down and the photo had come up. Absolutely nothing. Not a single thing. Reverse Google image the photo and it's from a movie. So yeah, bullshit basically. But am I saying that it was spookies?
You ain't saying it was spookies. You're saying it's Freud.
Yeah, it was very clearly bullshit all along. Steph and John aren't about to get murked by the ghost lady. I do think there's something inherently spooky for people in being under the bed, but usually in the dark, with that what if possibility that there's something there waiting whilst you're vulnerable, as we touched upon earlier. I guess because it's creepy, the mind is conditioned to then formulate a creepy sighting, and as it's something so many people naturally experience, this kind of chain letter can go viral. It has that element of, wait, I saw something like that, or innate shared fear to it. But yeah, this is bullshit. Psychology bullshit. The photo.
Hey. Say that again, motherfucker.
It is psychology.
I don't know why I dared you to say it, and what am I going to do about it? Leave in a huff.
Any final thoughts from either of you before we conclude?
Well, I've enjoyed this giant waste of time. It's been really... Why am I on the bottom again? Oh, I know. That photo is that's me getting paid by the NHS, pulling a face in an NHS toilet. Trying to look like a guinea pig, I think.
Only that it's got me thinking about
I don't really remember the context behind that one.
It's got me thinking about chainmail stuff because you still get social media trends and things going around now.
Absolutely.
Share this on Facebook
or
to
blah, blah,
protect
blah.
your
Yeah,
information.
Yeah.
And then you always, when you see it, you go, oh, you're a bit disappointed that person shared
But
it.
people will. Like, you know, we could, and I, like you said, you know, when we were younger and when we were kids, you know, we would have probably replied to chain letters or something like that and shared stuff.
Or passed it on.
And like I said, there's still a tiny sort of grain in my gut that goes, but what if? Because, you know, we all have...
Do you know, I have a strange, given what I do for a living, you know, when I drive into Lincolnshire past a particular sign, I cannot help but nod at it, just in case. Just in case. And that really frustrates me to say that aloud because, you know, I'm a therapist and that's nonsense. But in that moment, that ain't nonsense. John don't want to die just yet. Only to the girl under the bed. After she's been paid.
That is a wrap for today. Thank you for listening to But It Was Aliens. If you've enjoyed what we do and want to support the show, you can drop us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple, or you can head on over to patreon.com/But It Was Aliens, where each month we release bonus episodes we call side probes into exclusively non-extraterrestrial activity. You name it, paranormal, mystery, history, and conspiracy. If there's some dastardly probing to be probed, it'll probably be on the Patreon. You can gain access to these episodes for quite literally less than a cup of a coffee. You can share episode suggestions with us on the Twitter at But It Was Aliens.
Twitter.
You could also say hello. Oh, what's happened here?
Oh.
How have you done that?
Who's done what?
I found the share button. I just touched it.
Mr. John has shared that photo again on the screen. Completely sidetracked me. But you could say hello on Facebook, where connected to But It Was Aliens is a secretly public private group called Extraterrestrial Towers. Being a member of Extraterrestrial Towers grants you protection from the aliens when they invade. There are no ghosts in the towers, so you'll be protected against hauntings too. And if you wake up with something that looks uncannily like me sitting on your chest, don't be alarmed. It's just a dream. I'm not heavily drunk and about to drop off. No, actually, it could be a ghost. It just isn't me. You are safe. That is it for this episode. So until next time, why do ghosts have cloves? The truth is up there. #. Yar.
Hello from under the bed.
Look at that fucking face.
Scary.